How are you doing? Welcome to live stream number 94. Today is Monday. Hope you had an awesome weekend. It is November 20th. So we're getting closer to December, friends. I hope start ready to start some Christmas shopping. Welcome to this Fusion 360 live stream to be reminded about Christmas. Today we are going to attack a quick links clamp for, I don't know, like if you climb mountains or something like that. I got an interesting an interesting question on Facebook because, let me just switch screens here. Let's go into Fusion 360. So inside of Fusion 360, you have some neat options in here. If you go to the Insert drop down, we have the Insert McMaster components. Now, you've never played around with this. This is definitely an awesome resource. You click on this and you can insert components. Now, what we're going to talk about today is, well, what happens if there's not a CAD file in there. So really all what happens is McMaster, and you guys who live outside the United States, you maybe have never encountered that. But McMaster is like this freaking huge phone book of anything you really want to buy in the world within the machining industrial components. What is great is that they have CAD files for, I don't know, 90% of what components they have in their catalog. You can download them, and I want to show you that just in a second. But what we're going to talk about today is what happens if they don't have that, if you're the 10%, don't have the CAD file. Well, luckily for us, we're inside of Fusion 360, so we could just model up our own. That's what we're going to do today. But let me just show you, first of all, how this McMaster works, just in case you have never seen it. So, yes, so it's under the Insert. Go to Insert McMaster-Carr component, and you can start filtering down on all the different things. So, again, I'm just going to show you one that I know that there is a model. So, for example, an eye bolt. And then you can filter it down to like all the different kinds there is. Now let me just expand the window a little bit bigger. That makes it a little bit easier. So what you need to know is that the part number over here is what gives you access to the CAD file. So if we go in here and we select, I don't know, 1/2" 13 eye bolt, you will see that there is something called product detail, and right next to it, it says CAD. Now, if you click on the product detail, and you know, there's a lot of steps, but if you go to the product detail, you scroll down here, you will see that you can actually install it in all different kinds of formats. Now, I prefer step. So select step, click save, and when you do that, that CAD file gets brought right into to Fusion 360. So now we have that model. If you watch some of the different live streams or the different videos that I've done, including live streams, you will see that I have used like screws is probably where I have been the most. But this morning, as I was sitting checking my Facebook, I got a question: what do I do if there is not a CAD model? So the specific one that was brought to my attention, let me just X out of this, was if you go to Insert McMaster. And this person here was looking for a quick links. Okay, so if we search for that, we get these quick links, and I think most of you guys are pretty familiar with. There's different versions in here how these works, right? You kind of like thumb screw things down. The problem is that if you go in here and you click on them, you will see we don't have that little CAD symbol. There's simply not a CAD file in here. But hey, now where we have this, and we have you know, some of the dimensions in here, the inside length, the width, and the opening width, maybe we could just model our own. What do you think? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to model this quick link up, and I want to show you a couple of things while I'm doing that. A couple of maybe tips and tricks on how to go about it. what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this one out because I can't use it for much anyways. But what I did was I did take a screenshot of this one, so I can kind of like bring it in here as an image, and we can kind of like look at it. So what I want to bring to your attention right now is that it shows as inside. You can see the wide and inside width. So the wide inside width, and we're going to do this in inches, is 1 inch 3/16 insert. So if you're metric, don't worry about it. You know, this is not super important that you know what size it is, but you know, so that's going to be that insert diameter. Then we have an insert length, what is the insert from this edge here, and then we have the opening and we have the thickness of it. So let's start drawing up what we have in here. So I'm just going to move this one over to the side. So first, let's switch from inches to metric, from metric to inches, because a few live streams ago we made the official switch from inches to metric, but for this one we're gonna go back into inches. You can always change it up here, right? Like hit that little where the gear symbol is, hit that little drop down, and then we can switch it to inches. And if you wanted to, you could always make it default, but we're not gonna do that just for this one. Inches here. Okay. Now, so what I'm gonna do to sketch this one up quick is I am going to use the inside width and dimensions, because that's really all I have to go with here, is that inside kind of shape. So first thing, I'm gonna open a new sketch up here, and it doesn't really matter, I don't care what plane you draw it on. And I'm gonna hit C for circle and sketch the inside diameter here. And that inside diameter is 1 inch, and then it is actually 3/16. You can actually do math right in here in these boxes if you didn't know that. So hit that, and we got that one. So that kind of like represents the inside diameter. Then we're gonna draw the other diameter up on top. I'm gonna hit C for circle again, many times. And I'm, you know, some of you guys, you know, are CAD ninjas. But I like, if you're new, sometimes it's easier to actually sketch over to the side over here. And then you can use these relationships to kind of like place it where you want it. So right now, because this is, I just sketched a circle, that's floating all the way around. So I'm gonna go over and do a vertical relationship between this point here and this point there. So now it's vertical, right? You can see that little icon. That means that now it can move up and down. Now, by default, when you do a diameter, so D for dimension, and you select a circle like this, it does it for center. But fairly not too long ago, they added a new function in here. If you didn't know about it, you got to be in the dimension tool, hit D, look at my cursor. You can see how there's kind of like the measuring icon, right? If you right click right now, then you actually down here now get an option to select the tangency. Now by default it will always be on center, what it always have been. So again, make sure you are in the dimension tool. You can see that on the cursor. Right click. Now if I select tangency, then you will see that it's going to place that tangency on the outside. So if you didn't know this, I mean, I don't know how you would figure it out if somebody didn't tell you. So this is going to be 2 inches by 3/8. Oops, I got to place it first. 2 by 3/8. So again, you can do the math in here, and now we get that one there. Now on my drawing here, let me move it over again so you can kind of see it. So we kind of like sketch the inside of that big diameter is this one down here, and this one up here is this one here. Now there is no measurement on that one on my drawing here, so I'm just going to take a guess. So I think I'm going to make it 375. Looks pretty good to me. Okay, now I'm going to sketch a couple of lines to connect the two. Here's another trick. Alpha line, that is not a new trick. Alpha line will give you a line, but if you hold down shift, in here, and you place two lines, they will actually, it will actually create that tangency. I should have let me do that again. So alpha line, hold down shift, place it here, and then when you move over here, it will actually display where that tangency is. You see that with my mouse up and down, it kind of like right there, it shows the tangency constraint, and there it has just placed those tangent. If you didn't hold down the shift, then you will end up with, you know, something like that, what is not tangent. So that's a little trick about that. Alpha line, hold down shift, move over. So you can't do the tangency first over here, but it's going to do that automatically. But then when you come over here, you just look for the tangency icon right there, and we got that tangency line there. So there's a couple of tricks right there. Yes, you can do math in the box. You can actually also just type. This is actually nice. If you have we made this 375. If you wanted to, you could actually also, and we're in inches. Right now, if I typed in 5 millimeters, it will actually do it in that. It will convert it over right in there. So just be aware of that. Pretty cool. And then again, there was the tangency. That was by being the tangent dimension. So that was dimension. Right click, select tangency. And then the one I just did with the line tangent would be holding down shift while you're in the line command and click on those. All right, you can always, this is going to be up on YouTube. Re-watch it if this went a little bit too fast. Next thing so let's just pull the drawing over. So we kind of like got the inside shape here. So now we're going to do this opening width. That's a 1/2 inch width here. And I really don't know where that's going to be. So the way I would do this, and again, there probably is other ways to do it, is I would hit alpha line, and I would place a line somewhere over here. And when I draw it out, you will actually see that right where that line intersects with our tangent line, it actually shows me when I do the perpendicular icon. You see how it kind of like creates that little rectangle right around there when I zoom it down? So it gives us that 90 degrees. I can place that line out there. Another trick here could be the O for offset. Select this, and then we could make an offset line out that, make that that 1/2 inch. So this is kind of like our opening. Now, I don't really need these lines for drawing. They're more reference or constructions. So we could click on these 2 lines, hold down Control, multi-select, and we could click over here to make them constructions. So now they're not really mattering much. Is this useful? I hope you're picking something up. Now, I'm going to use a command that I don't think I've ever used in the live streams. We are at 94. If you go under Sketch, there is a trim command. So if you click the trim, you really cannot, it's hard to screw up the trim command. Look how I'm hovering over here. What is red is going to go away. So just like that, we have the kind of like trimmed up that inside profile. The trim command was found right underneath here. You could also hit T for trim. Okay? Now, next thing is going to be kind of interesting. So what we're going to end up using for this, if you have not already guessed that, is we're going to end up using the sweep command to create this, this quick links. So right now, we have kind of sketched up the inside profile of this quick link. So that is going to be our path for the sweep. Now we need to go ahead and create the profile. Now the profile for this one is fairly easy in the matter that it's just a circle, but where are we going to put that profile? What I would like to do was I would like to place this profile. I'm going to just spin the model here a little bit. Let me get out of the trim tool. I would like, I hope this doesn't get too confusing. I would like to place my circle right here on this intersection. But if you have seen some of my other beginner videos, I always talk about how there's only 2 places you can sketch. That is either on a face or a plane. Now, we don't have a face yet. We haven't done any 3D extrusions. We only have planes. But the planes we have is, if we highlight the origin over here, are these. And I don't want any of these. I actually want it right there. Now, this is where getting familiar with some of these construction tools can be extremely helpful for you. Just to spend a little bit of time to get somewhat familiar with these. The one we're going to do today is plane along a path. So if I select plane along a path, it's going to do exactly that. It's going to put a plane along a path. And this is our path. So if I click right here, look at that. It's going to create a plane, and you will see there's an arrow, but normally it tells you you can drag things. So this plane could actually be placed anywhere on this one here. And it actually gives you a distance over here from the closest endpoint of where you click on the path. So this is maybe a new favorite. So I'm just going to bring it all the way back to 0. So now that plane is sitting right at that end there. I'm going to hit OK. And now I have a plane to sketch my circle on. Yes. So I'm going to right click and say create a new sketch. It's going to go normal 2 here. Now, what you might be tempted to do is hitting C for circle and just place it right there in that center and place that circle right there. But remember, this is actually the inside of that. So it should actually not be right here. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to sketch the circle like right out here. And the diameter, the thickness of this one is 3/16. So I'm just going to type that in right there. That is our diameter. And so what I'm going to do to be able to get a point, because the circle don't have any endpoints. It's just one continuously circle. But if we create a line, alpha line, from here and draw it out till it snaps to that endpoint out there, now we can make that a construction line, just like we did with the other ones. So it doesn't really matter. But now we have an endpoint. So now, with that endpoint, I hope I'm not going too fast. I can go over and do a coincident relationship between that endpoint right there, and click that, and this point here. So now it is kind of sitting on the outside of that one. So that's good. So with that done, we can end that sketch. So now we have 2 sketches. We have our path and we have our profile. So let's sweep that. So we're going to go up to create, do a sweep. And the sweep command, we've talked about this one before. Look at some of the previous live streams. Again, I hope this is not going too fast. So we're going to select the profile. What's going to be the round circle? That was easy enough. The path is going to be this one, and then we kind of get this link showing up, right? So now we kind of got most of this quick link drawn up. So if you've never seen the sweep command, then maybe things went a little fast. It will be, as soon as we're done here in a few minutes, it will be up on YouTube within, I don't know, 30 minutes or so. You can always go back and rewind and watch it again. I feel like I threw a lot, if you're brand new, a lot at you there. Now, so with that done, I'm going to move on. I'm not going to give any of any new people 2 seconds to breathe. Sorry. But I want to show you a couple of more things that I think is important. So we could go ahead now and do the thread here on there. And to do that, I would literally I'm just going to go over here. I'm going to click on that face and start a sketch right there. Right click, create a sketch, and do a circle. C for circle. It's going to pick up the center. And I'm going to make this one 0.25. Like that. Let me spin the model around. And if I now hit Q, I can select that edge. We could draw that down a little bit there. I don't know. You should probably full define that. But and then we could go in here and create the thread by clicking the thread here. select that face. By default, it's going to be the bitmap. We talked about that in the live stream before. But of course, you can go in and select it modeled, and then you get out of the Machinist Handbook all these different ones. Now, these are normally very fine threads on this type. So maybe select a finer thread. So then we get this component here. Now, I wanted to get to this point on purpose because now you suddenly realize that, well, no, you don't. You maybe, I'm not saying you would. I suddenly, or the guy modeling suddenly realized that, oh my goodness, this should have been multiple components, because this actually is its own component, right? That kind of like scrolls down and hits this thread. And that goes into, and I'm going to probably do a live stream about this at some point. There's something called rule number 1 on the forum, that anytime you're starting a new model, brand new model, you should always start out by right-clicking and say create new component before you sketch anything. Because then you will never run into what is happening next. Because I can, like right now, this is just one component, right? But then when I draw the key, the little locking mechanism here, well, there's another component. What you absolutely can do in Fusion is perfectly legit. Go into your bodies folder, and right now I can right click in here and I can say create component from bodies. And that will actually create this as a component. Now, the reason that most people don't like to do this is because Fusion is history based. What is awesome. But the result of that is that when I switch over to my component, you will see that there's nothing in here other than here's a component. Though that this is, in this component is all this stuff. But that's because it's history based. If I had started out by doing rule number 1 and always right clicking up here and creating a new component, then I would not have that problem. Then everything that you see in here would now be in here. I don't really want this to be about this. What I'm trying to get at is, I honestly don't think that this is so bad. I think it's more about like good old days and what people kind of like have been used to and so forth. So that's why I wouldn't worry about it. You can absolutely right click on that body and turn it into a new component. So with that, I'm going to create another component because now I need that second component. So I'm going to right click and create new component. That comes there. And now I could go up and use this face as a reference for the new component. So that's what I'm going to do. Click up here. And I'm just going to draw that one up. I'll make it 375. Like that here. Hit a line. Just to give it like a hex on it, right? There's got to be a hex on that little finger screw there. Give it a dimension, and I'm going to use the circular sketching pattern. So I'm going to select that line. So this is all in the sketch environment. Give it 6 sides. Okay. Hit Q for extrude, and we could now select this here, and we could draw that second component up. And actually it probably would have to be a little bit longer, so I'm going to go second side and go both ways, right? Something like that, and hit OK. So now that is a new body we just created there. If I go up to the main component, we can now see we have these here. So this is all good. Now you will find though that this component is moving around because now it actually kind of like became an assembly. So how we're going to deal with that is, as soon as you're talking about assembly, one of the components has to be tied down. So I'm going to select the first component. I'm going to right click on it and ground it, it's called. It's a little thumb tag. So now that cannot move around. So now this one can only move around. And then inside of Fusion, we have something called build as joint. I talked about joints before on the live stream and on other videos, so definitely check that out if this is all new for you. But what I can do is I can say I want to create a joint between these two components, and it's going to be cylindrical right there. And just like that, I have now drawn up this one. It can go through there. That would be another thing. But now we kind of like drew up what we wanted like that. Was that good? I hope that this didn't go too fast, because I got one more thing I want to show you, just to be a pain in the neck. Because now where we have this, I'm going to delete it again. Because one of the things that I want you to just remember is that the more information you put inside of your CAD file, the bigger they get, and the more confusing it can be, and the more there is to solve. And when I'm looking at quick links like that, I would never need to use this in another assembly where it was open, right? Like if I was ever going to use this in another assembly to show something, it would be closed. Well, if this thing's going to be closed anyways, wouldn't we just make it a little bit easier on ourselves, and maybe we just go back a few steps? So let's go back here. I'm just going to Control Z, undo, get past our components. I'm actually going to delete this component, and I'm going to delete where we made this into a component in the first place. Now we're back where we have a body. I'm actually going to go all the way back to before we had a thread on here, before we extruded this one here. And I'm going to go into this sketch and edit this sketch and go in and change the diameter to 375, what I did for the lock. Hit L, create a line across there, do a D for dimension, put that in there. Then I use the circular pattern, a circular pattern that, around that axis, 6 places, hit Q for press pull, select these 2 ends. I'm gonna go 2 sides again, I think. Maybe you wouldn't need to, but oh, it's not gonna be a cut, it's gonna be a join, and move that one down like that. Like that there, hide that sketch. Now we're back to where we were before. We only have one body, but this is really how it normally would be used, right? So there wasn't really any need to go through and create all the extra components, creating the threads, unless that you wanted to show it like that. I mean, like if I was in the business of selling quick links, I would probably have modeled them up with everything perfect, with a thread and everything on, look good. But if you are looking to just model something up to use in one of your assemblies, then if you can simplify it in any way, why not? It will definitely be a lot quicker. I hope that was useful. I hope it was not too fast. You let me know in the comments area if you have anything kind of you want to add to this. Definitely always appreciate that. Thumbs up if you like it. Be honest. I want your honesty. Thumbs down if you don't. That's fine. Let me know if it went too fast or whatever. Like I said, I'm going to end the broadcast, and it's going to go up on YouTube in about 30 minutes or so for you. All right. A couple of things. I'm just going to wrap this up with what is important. First of all, this was live stream number 94. I am planning on having a giveaway for number 100 because that just seems appropriate to give one of you guys something. I'm going to give you more detail about that tomorrow, Tuesday, and then up till the 100th. So if you cannot watch tomorrow, don't worry, you're not going to miss out. You're just going to catch one of the remaining 5. So we're going to do tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to do some sheet metal. I'm going to show you a couple of tricks with that. Wednesday, I'm going to do CAM on Wednesday because in the U.S., Thursday, Friday is Thanksgiving, but means we are off. So I'm not going to do any live streams on Thursday, Friday. Though we're not only doing 3 live streams this week, because if you didn't know, we just started last week that Wednesday evening on Facebook, there is a live stream there, strictly pointed at beginners. So if you are pretty set with modeling inside of Fusion, then don't bother about it. My email address is down in the description area, lars.christensen@autodesk.com. If you have any future topics that you would like to see, don't hesitate sending it to me. Also, if there's any confusion about what's going on with that Facebook thing, email me about that, and I'll try to answer you as fast as I can. It's Monday, folks. I hope you're ready for a good week. Here in the US, again, it's going to be short, so most people can kind of like handle that. I hope this was useful. You let me know. Thumbs up, thumbs down. I really appreciate it that you're taking the time to join this live stream. We have 106 people in the live stream right now. I really just appreciate it. And all you guys who are watching the recording, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. It means the world to me. I'm going to end the broadcast and jump into the live stream and say hi to everybody. Take care, folks.